This phase is not the end of the story. There is more to who you are than today reveals. You are not made for lowly heights, so raise the bar and be better. Explore new frontiers. I am cheering, waiting on the other side. Keep advancing. God has given all you need. There are people following the path you lead. Yeah, 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 oh yeah, yeah. Every day is just a gift to become a better you. Now is where your pages begin. Don't stop it now, don't stop it. Keep moving, don't stop it. Keep moving, don't stop it. Keep moving, don't stop it now. Growth is a guarantee that tomorrow's great. Hope you hear me. Don't you drown in the glory of yesterdays. Only if you can strive to be better, then you have a chance to become the best of you. Yeah, I am cheering, waiting on the other side. Keep advancing. God has given all you need. There are people following the path you lead. Yeah, 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 oh yeah. Every day is just a gift to become a better you. How is where your pages begin. Don't stop it now. Don't stop it. Keep moving, yeah. Don't stop it. Keep moving, yeah. Don't stop it. Keep moving, yeah. Don't stop it now, yeah.
Hey people, leadership community, you are welcome once again. It's been okay. Well, we had a break last Sunday, so it's been like 2 weeks, but let's just call it 10, 12 days or thereabout. And I must say that I missed you. Last Sunday, I just had to. We had to have a break so that we can refocus. We can kind of just check the things that we've been doing and see how we can do better. And I think we all needed to look again and take another look. You're welcome this evening. My name is BC Akonde, and I just want to add value to you. This is your moment. This is our moment. This is when we get together to learn, to relearn, to unlearn, to get to know the things that we need to know better so that we can do better. My mentor will always say that when people know better, they do better. So this is a platform for us to know better so that we can do better. And today we are talking about something that is very, very touchy to my heart. We are talking about mentors and mentoring. We are looking at how do you mentor. You know, my mentor spoke to me, and really I have mentors in my life that I reach out to on a regular basis to listen to them. I have somebody who coaches me or mentors me in the area of public speaking. I have someone who mentors me in the area of leadership. I have somebody who mentors me in the area of limiting beliefs and how to bust them and break them. And I have someone who mentors me in the area of coaching on how you can do coaching and do it right. So mentoring is one of those things that I think that is critical to us. It can actually advance your course very fast. It can take you faster than you can go on your own. Because you know, the saying says that when you ride on somebody's shoulder, you see further than they see. And that's just so true. We need to be mentored. And many times the challenge we have is that we really don't understand the subject of mentoring, and we don't know how to be mentored or how to, and even how to choose our mentor. I'm just believing that today we are going to be having something in that area. We're going to be taking our first guest for today. We have two guests. You know, it's Leaders Lead, a leadership discussion with BC Akonde. And usually they are going to speak, and then we're going to now have questions. So if you have your question, please hold it. As soon as they are done, you can post your question, and we will pick up your question there. We're going to interrogate whatever question it is that you have. First on our guest list today is Olushola Makinde. Now, Olushola has experience in direct sales. He has customer experience management, sales management. He has experience in product development, marketing, business process development, and strategy, which spans for over 26 years. He currently is the Group Chief Operating Officer of the Chair Center Group. Olushola has attended several management and professional trainings to add to his wealth of management experience. He is a fellow of the Institute of Sales and Marketing Management, and that has been since 2011. He's happily married with 4 children. Olushola Makinde is somebody that I've personally come to know. He is also a mentor on the live series with Ibukun Awosika, whom he works with on a close level. I am very sure that he's going to add great value to you. Please welcome to this platform today, Olushola Makinde, my friend, my brother, as he comes up stage.
Yes.
Good to see you again, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. God bless you. We're so glad to have you here. This is, we call it your leadership community, because this is a community of leaders where we learn and we grow. So we want to hear from you, mentors and mentoring, for the next 10 minutes or so before we start asking you questions. And be ready, because our questions are heavy. But I know you're up to the task. So you're welcome. I just step out so that you can have the stage and share with the team. Thank you, sir.
Okay, sir. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much, Pastor BC. I appreciate this opportunity, and I appreciate everybody having the time to be here. Mentoring actually is an interesting topic, and it's something that is actually consciously being done, but it takes 2 to tango, like they say. If you look by means of definition, mentoring actually has 2 phases in terms of a definition. Some is termed as a relationship. Sometimes it's as an act. For relationship, actually, it's regarded as a relationship between a more skilled, more experienced person and a not as much knowledgeable person, not as much experienced person in trying to get better in what they do or they intend to do. On the flip side of being an act is actually an act of a more skilled person coaching and getting somebody who is not as experienced to do things better, usually on the job and in school. Now, whichever way you look at it from, it has to do with 2 parties, the mentor and the mentee. But over time, we realize that there's so much assumptions. Sometimes people would assume they have a mentor. Sometimes a mentor would believe he's mentoring people. But how do you mentor someone when you don't even have clarity of purpose? How do you say you are mentoring somebody when you don't even understand what that person wants? Yes, people make friends daily. People make friends over time. But there should be and always be a conscious effort to have clarity of what you intend to do. Why do people meet? Why do people come together? Now, mentoring is a different ballgame. There are categories. We could look at it from the angle of the mentor or the angle of the mentee. For the mentor, you have 3 strategic roles to play. You have to be the consultant, yes, which is the primary purpose of being a mentor, for you to be able to guide based on the experiences that you've had. Positive, negative, those are things that people need to learn in order to understand how to do their own thing better than the way you did, or to share experiences from your own experiences, gather experiences from your own experiences, and be able to do better, or even strive to achieve much more than you have achieved. There are failures as well, and those are life's lessons. Now, you also need to be a counselor. You have to listen. Sometimes we assume when the millennials talk, they talk too much, but they don't. People who strive to learn would always ask questions, and you have to listen. When you listen, you get more. And one thing that we seem to believe that is missing is not giving an opportunity to learn yourself, because the more you share, the more you understand. Hey, the millennials are great people. You realize that sometimes the things you think you know, they would actually know better with the technology that they do understand and know how to use. So having to create that relationship, you share, and you realize that things that you thought you couldn't do, oh, now you can do it better and you can do it faster. So it's a relationship. Now, I mentioned having to say it's important to have it as a conscious effort. You can, yes, look at someone and say, yes, I would like this person to be my mentor. But why would that person want to be your mentor? Is it because you like the way he dresses? Or is it because you believe he's a success at his job? Or that the way he actually manages people and the way he actually delivers on the projects or tasks that he has? There must be a reason why you need to say you want to take on somebody as a mentee, and why you also want somebody to be your mentor. Those have to be clearly defined. Sometimes you have a process. They're not specifically defined, but it's important. Why do I want to be a mentor? Why do I need to be mentored? What exactly do I need to take out of this mentor-mentee relationship? Having gone through that process, what exactly am I going to gain out of it? So you need to actually create a situation of an application. Now, it's not the regular day-to-day application, but of course you need to engage. You need to clearly state your intent, engage. Some people don't actually have the natural ability to take in people, but a consistent and conscious effort to let that person know that this is exactly what I intend to do might give that person room into you. As an individual, I don't have to give you access to my circle of influence and my space. But if I see you, I know you, I understand you, I most likely would give you an understanding or some little access into my circle of space or influence. That is how this mentorship starts. So if I accept, then I tell you. But beyond that, there must be a guide. How do we go about it? Would it be periodic meetings? Would it be by phone? Would it be by emails? What are the times and what are the terms? And of course, the elements of trust matters. I've been privileged to have worked with a couple of people who really didn't take the element of trust seriously and would end up just opening up on things that I normally do not even want people to know about me. And I had to call that person back to say, you know what? You know, I'm not this kind of person. So I would rather you just hold on to it and don't even go beyond that. But mentoring, to a large extent, is what I've believed, and I still believe, gets us better as people, as professionals, both in life and of course professionally. It's something that we believe would move from being an individual to building a better society. I would have actually said more, but I didn't want to actually move beyond my time. So Pastor Bisi, you can actually take over.
Wow, that was great. In fact, I was writing, I had forgotten that the time that we actually discussed had gone. Great one, sir. I really like the fact that he made it clear that even as a mentor, you would share and you would also listen. You would share and you would listen. Mentoring is critical. It's a relationship that is critical to you and to me. It can just up the game. We're going to bring back Olushola Makinde when we are going to have the conversation. But let me quickly invite Ola Omoshobi. Ola Omoshobi is a management and development consultant as well as a public speaker and with expertise and experience in training and capacity development, strategy and advisory support, report development, business and organizational development, project management, youth development, public-private dialogue, among others. He's also the lead pastor of the Lord's Place, Abuja. I've known Ola Omoshobi for a while now. I actually know his wife. We're in the same church at some point, and I know that he's been doing quite a great work. I know he will bring some dimension to this. So please join me as we bring up Ola Omoshobi all the way from Abuja to take another 10 minutes on that subject of mentoring. If you have questions, please don't forget, once he's done, bring the question up and we're going to interrogate them. Please welcome Ola Omoshobi. Yeah, how are you, sir?
Hello, everyone. Good to be here. Hello, Pastor Bisi Akode. Good to see you, sir.
Same here. God bless you.
Fine, thank you, sir. Fine, thank you, sir. I am quite honored to be on this platform with you. I must say that it's been a very rare one. So we need to shoot.
All right. So let me just
okay, sir. Let me say this for those who are joining us. Even though I know Pastor Bisi wants me to go straight to take on my 10 minutes, but I must put this on record that yes, Pastor Bisi has been a mentor of mentors for many years. I think close to 20 years that I've had opportunity to sit under him, and then of course learn from him, and then of course even virtually and by distant relationship we've continued on and on. So great to be here. Yes, mentors and mentoring. It's interesting to look at this subject and dig a bit into it as much as we can. Of course, 1 hour won't even be enough to go into the details of what mentoring is. So it's a good one. Thank you very much. It's a great privilege to share this platform with you, and of course with the other speaker who spoke earlier. I listened to him keenly. He's already touched on a number of things I want to touch on, but there's always something to add on here and there. So great one, Mr. Olushola Makinde. So yes, mentoring basically is about guiding, it's about counseling, it's about supporting a mentee, or if you like, a protege. Mentoring basically is about guiding, it's about counseling, it's about supporting. And of course, it applies in every sector, as it were, business sector, in religious sector, and so on and so forth. I mean, the scope is not limited at all in terms of where mentoring applies. It's been around for as long as human beings have been around. Though, unfortunately or interestingly, it may not be called that name in several instances. For example, if you go to my brothers from the East, the eastern part of Nigeria, it's a process, it's a kind of leadership type that have always been in use in their business space for decades and centuries. And I'll talk about that a little later. But here's where I'm going to start from. Many times you find audience, participants from a conference that you have spoken as a speaker, and then they come up to you afterwards. They so love what you've said. They like the way you said what you've said. And they come to you and say, I'd like you to be my mentor. Or they say, I want to be your mentee. But then down the line, you realize that they don't even know what they're asking for. Yes, truly. They are not even aware of what it really means. Some of them, what they really want is a role model, not a mentor. Yes, and then there are those who want a mentor, but they don't know the entails. All right. So I'll do some bit of comparison within the short time I have, but then I'll still talk to the issue. And the comparison I want to do basically is between role modelship and mentorship. Truly, 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 these are all components of leadership: role modelship, mentorship, coaching, and the likes. But then when you look at it, many times, especially for young people, they confuse role modelship with mentoring. And why did I say so? Because with role modelship, the role model is obviously aware that there are quite a number of people who are fanning him, who are following him, who he or she is an inspiration to them, is an encouragement to them. They look up to him, they follow his steps, they follow her steps. But then he may not know specifically who is out there, who the fans are in specificity. Now, in mentoring, first and foremost, a mentor and mentee, they are both involved. It's a two-way traffic communication, just like the first speaker spoke. It's a two-way traffic communication. Both of them are fully aware that I'm your mentor, you're my mentee. I'm your mentor, you're my protege. I'm your mentor, you're my student. They are fully aware. There's no confusion about it, as against in role modelship, where the role model may not be aware that this man is following, is shadowing, is learning from it. Pretty much. So first, very key important thing is that there's a mentor and there's a mentee. And both of them are fully aware that they are into this mentorship. Somebody wants to learn from the other. Somebody wants to pick ideas from the other. So that's one part of it. Another important part, of course, I've spoken about the communication. There's constant communication between both parties. That yes, I'm learning from you and you're learning from me. But key of this communication is that there is a clear objective. Now, the objective may not have the details from the beginning as to what exactly needs to be done and all that, but the overall objective is clear as to why we are into this relationship. This kind of leadership and this kind of followership is being encouraged. It is very clear. It is obvious. For example, you might say, I want to be like Bisi Akode. I like what he does. Please, Pastor Bisi Akode, mentor me and all that, because I like your leadership style. I like what you do. So yes, the objective is there. So for mentoring, for mentorship, there is a clear objective as to what needs to be done. Like I said, it may not be defined into the specificities of what the objective would now draw down on at the initial, but eventually it gets clearer as they move on. Another important thing about mentoring and that relationship is the fact that the goals now pop up. There are goals that are set, which of course would mean there are milestones. There are indicators to also measure success, progress, and so on and so forth. So, are we advancing? Are we achieving what we want to achieve? Are you building the skills you want to build? Those indicators will be there. Those milestones will be there. The goals become clearer as they move on. It may be business mentorship. It may be spiritual mentorship. It may be mentorship in some other areas. It may even be in the area of particular skills and knowledge this person has and what they do. So those goals become clear as they move on. And then milestones are set, indicators are there to measure. From time to time, they come periodically, occasionally they come together to ask questions. So what have you learned? How far have you done this? There are assignments, there are tasks, there are activities that revolve within that mentorship. And that's why I said earlier, it is a whole lot different from role modelship. Role modelship is amazing. It has its own place, its own purpose. But mentorship comes down to a place of, as it were, one-on-one discussion, communication. Measurements are put in place as it gets clearer as to what needs to be achieved and if The achievements are there. If not, what do we need to rework? How do we review? And so on and so forth. Importantly too, mentoring comes with time frame. Yeah? There is a time-bound frame, as it were, as to how long this mentoring should last. Now, let me say this. Yes, it is possible that you still keep referring to somebody as your mentor. I mean, I'll continue to refer to Pastor Bisi Akande as my mentor I've been doing that for years and I continue to say that. But then, specifically, technically speaking, there is a time frame for that mentoring, such that both parties are able to clearly say, this is what we've achieved, this was the goal, this was the objective, and this is what we have been able to achieve within this time frame. Let me give you a very good example. So when I was involved with UWIN and then with GEM Big Portal, these were federal government initiatives to help small businesses to grow. I was quite involved as a national trainer and so on and so forth. And then in some other sense, again, I did some monitoring and evaluation and all that. Each of those programs have the mentorship component, which allowed business mentors in those specific sectors to be able to come in and mentor those who are interested in those specific sectors. So those who are in media, those small businesses, aspiring businesses in media, were able to get them mentors in media and entertainment and so on and so forth. Those in fashion were able to get them mentors in the fashion line of business. And they were able to work with them, but within a time frame. And every of those mentors, every of those mentees had milestones they needed to check on every now and then, which were based on specific time. So in the next 2 weeks, you needed to do this. The mentor will say to a mentee, and then once that is done, they check. And if it's not done, they also check. Was it that the task was too much? Were you distracted? And so on and so forth. So there's a time frame to mentoring. Yes, loosely you may call somebody your mentor, you may call somebody your mentee for lifetime, as it were. But the mentoring itself has a time frame which also comes with specific outcomes and results, whether they were achieved or not. Let me go to the next one because my time is already, I think I have about 3 more minutes. And then, like I said earlier too, it's a two-way traffic. But then this one is also important. That mentoring is not caged by a particular direction of the flow of mentoring. Let me explain what I mean. It's not caged, it's not limited. So mentoring does not mean the older will mentor the younger. That's what I'm going to. It doesn't mean males will mentor females. It doesn't mean it is the white race that will mentor the black race. No. So it is not limited. It's not caged by the direction. It can go in any direction. A younger person can mentor an older person in age. I'm talking about age now. Take, for example, Mark Zuckerberg. I don't know how many old people, much older people than himself, that have been mentored under his leadership every now and then. Hundreds of thousands of them. It's not about age. It's about what substance needs to be delivered, what achievement, what substance, achievement, values they are going to derive from that mentoring. So it is not age specific. It can be younger to older. I have people who are older than me, which will reach out to me and say, please be my mentor, mentor me in this area. I want to learn this, I want to learn that, and so on and so forth. I'm sure Pastor Bisi will tell you a whole lot of much older people, and so many other mentors will tell you same. Even Mr. Olushola Makinde will tell you same. There are so many people that are way older than them that they get to mentor. So it's not defined by a particular age direction. It's not a top-bottom approach. It can be, so to say, age-wise now, it can be bottom-top. Again, it's not necessarily restricted by gender, that it has to be men who are mentoring women. No. It could be women who are mentoring men. Look at the likes of Ibukun Awoshika and Ibukun Dushote and so many others who are mentoring men, young men and elderly men equally. It is not limited. Yes, in this part of the world, we have so many stereotypes. We have ideas that have held us, traditional cultural thoughts and perspectives that have held us down for a long time. But those stereotypes are breaking. Those walls, those ceiling walls those glass ceilings, they are breaking, and people are beginning to express a lot more and find more value around things that they've initially thought they couldn't find value. So yes, women mentor men. And of course, like I mentioned also about race, there are a lot of people, black African nationals, people from our country. I mean, mentoring people who are all from other climes, from even developed climes, advanced climes, and so on and so forth. So it is not limited. Again, as we have in this age and time, mentoring is not also limited to the physical space. Mentoring is now taking place in virtual space. I mean, the example I gave of the UN work we did, and then GEM and a number of others, a lot of mentoring was happening in the virtual space. They didn't get to, the mentors and the mentees, they didn't even get to see themselves, they didn't get to meet themselves. I mean, some of them, I don't know whether they even met themselves till now. I'm talking of years ago. They were doing everything online, emailing, and then WhatsApp came in, and they included WhatsApp and all that. They were able to break those barriers and still achieve a lot. Learning took place, sharing took place. And then the last one for now, for the mentor and mentee, learning goes both ways. Learning and sharing go both ways. So the mentor is also learning. He's seeing new things that are done differently, even with somebody who is applying the knowledge he has shared with them in a different environment, in a different climate, in a different context, and he's also learning from it. A pastor friend of mine who runs a farming business, he has a poultry and is doing quite well. A number of other pastor friends reached out. I know 2 pastor friends who had reached out to him. One of them is being able to advise him and help him and support him to set up his own poultry farm as well. And then the second one recently reached out to him and he's been going to visit him week in, week out to learn from him so that he can also serve. But guess what? That other second fellow, that other second pastor friend who reached out to this, our first pastor friend who has been in this business for a while, had some different experiences in his own geographical location, which became a learning experience for even the mentor. And he was able to say, oh, this is what happens in your own area. Okay, I'm going to learn from that. And you know, so it's a learning and sharing both ways. Mentors also learn from their mentees. Let me put a cap on it for now and hand over back to Pastor BC Akode. Thank you very much for having me. I'm sure would be called up again. So over to you, sir. Thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, that's so good. Well done, sir. I don't know. I like to learn. So anytime someone is talking, I begin to pick them up, and that's a great privilege. Calling me a mentor, you are doing quite a number of great things, but that's all part of it. So I'm going to bring them up now. If you have questions, please put them in. The question does not have to be limited to what they discuss. Anything about mentoring and mentorship, we can just ask them. So I have a couple of questions. So can I please let me have in the house again Ola Moshebi and Olusola Makinde, and let's run. Oh, okay. Looks like we're having an internet challenge with Olusola Makinde, but he will come back in. Well done, sir. Great one. I want to ask. I don't know. I hope you can hear me. Yeah, can you hear me? Awesome. So before we get them back in, I was just
Thank you, sir.
Okay. He's back. So I wanted to ask you.
Yes, loud and clear, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. I wanted to ask you a question. See, you both touched on something about the issue of mentoring, where people just.
I think we're having some internet glitches here and there.
Yeah, but I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Internet is.
Can you hear me? Awesome. Yeah, can you hear me? Wow. Okay, it looks like we are having some internet issue here. I wanted to ask question, because a lot of times when we talk about the issue of mentoring, mentorship, and how people mentor, one of the challenges that people have is that assumption, assuming that someone is your mentor when probably the person is a role model, or maybe just somebody that you admire from afar, not even a role model, And then sometimes people just assume that because you work with somebody, the person is mentoring. The truth be told, mentoring or mentorship requires intentionality. And there are certain things that I have also learned in this school of mentoring and mentorship, because I have mentors. I have people who mentor me. Like I said, I have people who mentor me. Even in speaking, I have someone who mentors me. I'm online. It's a virtual mentoring, so I'm online with him on a weekly basis. I join a call to ask questions, to join in with others and hear their questions. And I'm learning how do I speak in a virtual space? How do I speak when I'm not in a virtual space? What do I do with my hands? How do I look? What kind of clothes should I wear when I get into a virtual space and things like that. But people don't think about it. They're not intentional. So they just go in there and you see them making a speech and it's not connecting with people. So the question I would want to address with you is how do you choose someone to be your mentor? How do you choose someone to be your mentor? There are questions that you really can ask yourself if you want to be your mentor. One of those questions is, what success have they actually achieved themselves? They must have achieved, what's the experience level? You heard, thank God they are coming back here. You heard them talking about the issue of experience. So you must ask yourself, you must be intentional about it. So since we have them in the house now, let me start with you, Olusola Makinde. How do you pick someone? What criteria would you want to look at for you to say, okay, I want this person to mentor me? Because like you said, a lot of people just do it unintentionally. But now, how do I say, okay, this person, what do I see? What do I need to look at? Can we just interrogate that a little bit just to help people? I want to take a mentor. What do I look at? What should I ask? What should I find out? Can I just pick anybody on the street simply because it's in the same business? What do I look at?
Okay, thank you very much. Sorry, I went offline a bit. Challenge with the network. But I pretty much wanted to appreciate Pastor Ola for the way he broke it down. I loved it. I learned more from the way he had said it and with the clear physical examples. And I loved our brothers in the East example, which I'm privy to have also learned from. Choosing someone is a totally different ball game from actually having clarity of purpose. And I believe your question is actually aligned with the clarity of purpose. Because from what Pastor Ola had said, role models are totally different from mentors. In the issues of liking, seeing, appreciating someone from afar is usually likened to role models. But for the mentors, it's actually a tall order. And that's why I was pointing out to the fact that there must be clarity of purpose. And I also recall you mentioned, like I have also mentioned, that it is faced. There must be a closure. Why do I want Pastor Bisi Akande to be my mentor? Is it because of his leadership size? Or is it because of the way he actually manages the pastors that are within his provinces? Is it the way he manages meetings and tells people and talks to people? There must be a clarity of purpose. It's not because some people actually get people who mentor them based on dressing professionally. So you wouldn't say it's not just about the looks or the likes, but that can actually be. But there must be a purpose, there must be a need, there must be a desire. And that was why I said there are actually some ground rules in terms of clarity, like at least, what exactly do you want to learn? What are you seeing in that person that is making you believe you'll be able to learn? Pastor Ola also mentioned that part of, it could be the reverse, the younger actually mentoring the older. A feminine gender can mentor the masculine gender. I'm one of the privileged ones to have had a direct working relationship with Mrs. Bokuma Oshika, who on the job actually mentors me, tells me a whole lot of things about how certain things are done. And over the years, I've been able to, be privileged to master those things. But for different purposes, there are different needs. And those needs need to be clearly defined and stated. Now, it's more of the choosing now from the mentor to the mentee, because 10 people could come to you and say, I want you to mentor me. I think it's the responsibility of the person they proposed mentor to now look at those things as a guide. Ask questions. Who are you? Where are you from? What do you do? Why is the reason? It's the mentor that should create the platform for the questions. Because 100 people could come to you and you can't take on 100 people at the same time, especially if you're busy. You probably will now have to share them now. You know what? I've had other people that I've mentored, and I need you I need other people that I've mentored to take up a couple of other people like that. But some would insist that, oh, this is the person I actually want. But you need to create a guide. Who are you? Where are you from? What kind of circle of influence do you belong to? What kind of human being are you? What is your history? What's your background? What do you do? But there must be a why. It's not because you want money in your pocket. There must be clarity. There must be a clear purpose and understanding. So those are the kind of things, really. I don't want to take too much of your time, but I know it is more of the responsibility of the mentor to create a guideline, because not two people are the same. Some would say, oh, I'm sorry, I can't mentor you face to face. Can we do it by emails? Can we do it by other social media apps? How well do you want us to do it? This is exactly how I'm able to do it. Some would say, you know what? If it's about how I manage my meetings, I'll invite you to a couple of negotiation sessions, and you come and you see how I talk. You take my notes. And I expect you to give me feedback on what I have said at such meetings. And the way I see you take down those notes and write the inferences from those notes will tell me the kind of person you are. So I think it's likely more on the part of the mentor than on the mentee.
Yeah, thank you very much. We're having internet glitches with Ola Omoshebi. So once we balance on that, I'm going to put a lot of tasks on you, as it were.
Right.
We still have about 15 minutes to go. Now, you hit on something when you were talking, and that's the element of trust. The element of trust. Now, we live in an environment where trust is really, really on a shaky ground.
Yes.
People don't even know what to trust. So the question is, how do we build trust, especially in a mentoring relationship? How do we build trust either way, whichever way now? What's your take on how a mentee can build trust with the mentor?
Ooh. It's actually very challenging in our environment, but somehow we get by. Trust is earned. Trust is earned, and it's golden. That's why I said those questions should come from the mentor. By the time you ask questions, by the time you find out the circle of influence that person is, you definitely would know. Even if that person is lied, lies don't get covered up forever. It would always come. What I know very well as a mentor that I'm privileged to have worked with a whole lot of people is that over time, the truth comes up. Because if you lie from day 1, day 3 to day 5, day 3 to day 5 could be 6 months. Day 3 to day 5, there would always be something that will stand you out, that would pick you out, that, oh, on day so, you said this. Day so, you said another thing and contradicts with that other thing. So who you are not, you can't hide forever. There would always be something that will take you out of that plane of who you really are. Trust is earned, actually. Trust is earned, the way you talk, the way you act. If you pretend to be somebody who is straightforward, who is not wayward and all that, somehow you would your true color would be exposed somehow. But trust is really earned. It's and every individual I believe has a way of actually getting to garner trust and identifying the kind of people that they should be able to allow into their own circle of
Mm.
influence.
Awesome. So and Ola is here, so I need to put it on him now a little bit. The question is because there are some people with us here who are also have entered into that kind of a place where they can say, okay, some people want to be mentored by them. So the question I want to ask is there a model to mentoring? Is there a kind of a model pattern? Is there a way that mentoring is done between the mentor and the mentee? You know, let's hear your take on that. Yeah, you are on.
Okay, is that for me or for
For
Mr.
you.
Makinde?
It's for you.
Okay, great. My apologies, sir. It's network has been terribly bad here. I'm not in my usual locations, office, home. I'm in a different place, an unusual location. Anyway, thankfully to stay. Okay, so yes, thank you, sir, again for Mr. Makinde for that insight. Trust is earned; it is key. However, yes, once one is going into that mentorship, you go in blind initially, so to say. However, there are certain values that must be there. Certain values. I mean, I like the way you put it that from the onset you are clear. There's clarity of purpose. So, what is the purpose I want to achieve? It would define. It would purpose itself would select out, would identify the kind of people you want to look up to as a mentee who is looking for a mentor. So, about the mentorship model. Yes, there are quite a number of models. One of them I made allusion to earlier on is the apprenticeship model that works in the southeast, so to say, among our Igbo brothers. It's been on for forever, so to say. Yeah, they don't call it. They may not necessarily call it mentorship, but it's actually mentorship in their business space. And that model works where they get somebody, usually some relative who comes in, a younger person, and train them in their own trade. And once they get them trained to a particular period for some period of time, and then they move them on to set them up. I think they call it setup. So they set them up with equipment, with items, usually not money, but with the stock itself, the stock in trade they deal in, them up, and they still maintain some loose relationship for some time. It's an open loose relationship for a while until they eventually leave them to soar on their own. So yes, there are quite a number of models. In business space, there are quite a number of models, and these models are adaptable, such that you look at what works for you. I just use the example of what happens in the trade environment of our southeastern brothers, the Igbos. It's worked for them for centuries, as it were. Then you also have the peer-to-peer kind of mentoring model too. I give the example of pastors' friends now. They are friends, they are colleagues, but when it comes to that business itself, this pastor is able to mentor these other pastor friends to also come in because they are interested in that particular sector, in that industry. And then, so there are quite a number of models. But everything comes back to the place of value, like Mr. Makinde said, the place of purpose, clarity of purpose from the onset. What exactly am I going to get? What am I looking out for? Yes, ab initio it may not be clear. The details of that objective may not be clear, but there must be an objective. There must be a goal. Why am I calling on this man to be my mentor? Why am I reaching out to this woman to be my mentor? Why do I want Mark Zuckerberg to be my mentor? Why do I need, and so on and so on. It has to be clear ab initio, and then that defines, it is that objective itself that will define the kind of model it's going to be. And by model, of course, we look at it from the perspective of channel of communication. We look at it from the perspective of the scope of work that needs to be done itself. We look at it also from the perspective of the speed at which we want that mentorship to be achieved and to deliver results. Because some mentoring is just, like I used the examples I've used earlier on, it's just for about 3 months. Some is just for about a year. Some others are there for many years, especially when you have to work directly with a person, with a mentor, like Mr. Makinde shared earlier on. You have this working relationship. Most times is there for a long time. Then you also have the model of the internship, which is really gaining ground these days. It's been around for a long time, but it's becoming more popular, especially in the formal sector. So new people in that trade, in that sector, are allowed to go and intern in organizations, in companies that do exactly what they are interested in. I was privileged to speak to some interns of, I think they're called legislative aids, something like that, so like this, like legislative aids recently. And so they are going to, they got trained for about 2 weeks, and then they are going to be taken to the National Assembly to shadow the legislators, to learn how to raise bills and all that. So there are different models that work for different sectors. And again, they are also defined by scope, by speed, by channel of communication, by relationship. But let me also say this, looking out for a mentor. Too many times, yes, the mentee is trying to look out for the personal values of the mentor, which is fine. But I think the more focus should be on the sector values, the objective values. This man, for example, may not be a Christian, yet there are certain things you want to learn from him based on that business environment, sector experience that he has. And so you can stay focused on that. He may be somebody who likes to club and all that. You don't like that. But then there are certain values you have seen that you want to emulate from him in the aspect of his business or organization or company success for years and years and years, and so on and so forth. Let me stop there for now.
That's really, really so good, because a lot of people, when they look at mentoring, they begin to look at people and then begin to class them in certain ways. Being a pastor, I read a book on the 5-star church. I'm sure you must have read that book somewhere. And that book really, really changed the dimension of ministry for me, because in the 5-star church, the pastor just decided that he wanted to change his church. So he called people that were running hotels in the church, and he told them, what is a 5-star hotel? Why do people come to 5-star hotel? Why do people want to come to a 5-star hotel? So he said, can we take the model of a 5-star hotel and create a 5-star church? So he did that for his church, and he put that into a book, talking about the 5-star church and the things that make God, the excellence, the clean environment, the cleanliness of the restroom, and the kind of publicity, the quietness. He just put everything together, and for that alone, people began to troop to the church because they had created a 5-star church. And he learned that model from what you call the world, as it were. He learned that 5-star. So mentoring does not lock us into a place. In fact, I think that as a pastor, I remember that I had gone to a Sunday school teacher in our church, not in my parish, but in our church. And I had asked him that, please, can you mentor me in some of the things that I wanted to be doing? And he did. So that's why I wanted to talk about the issue of reverse mentoring, which you did mention. And I want you guys to speak to that, reverse mentoring. Is there a time when the mentee becomes the mentor and the mentor becomes the mentee? Is there a time when that happens? And under what condition does it happen?
Okay. Is that for me or for Pastor?
Let's take you and then we take him. Maybe a minute and a half to take him.
Okay. I like the word reverse mentoring. Like I mentioned, it's a relationship and it's both ways. And I'm also glad that Pastor Ola also concurred with me in that, because there are times you do not, you think you know it all, but when somebody pushes ideas at you, you need to actually stand back and like, oh, really, it's true. And the more you give out, the more you get. So it's a continuum, and within that period, you do not have a specific time when you say it changes. That's the reason why you also say the mentoring stages. Yes, you have those stages, but there are certain things that will just auto trigger itself within that process. It's not like you have this particular stage and you say, oh, yes, it's time for you to now tell me what I don't know. Oh, really? I think it just comes up on its own to say, oh, yes. It might even be within the line of the task that the mentor had given to the mentee. Oh, take this situation, work on it as a case study, and come back to me. When you're doing the evaluation of whatever it is that he has done, and he comes up to say, oh, I think if I'd done it this way, I would have gotten this idea or this result. Or I decided to do it this way because I thought I could get this, and this is what I've gotten. I'm like, oh, really? Show me. It is only when you have a relationship that you can have that. So I do not think you have a specific time that would occur, but oftentimes you realize that you learn more. The more you talk, the more you engage, the better you even get yourself at relating with people and being able to share your knowledge. Because for every time you have a new mentor, a new mentee that is having some level of experiences, the more your own cabal grows in terms of your experiences, which you're showing. So for every time you actually have a mentee, I believe you're increasing your own net worth of human skills and human experiences. That's my own understanding.
Yeah. Ola, can we hear from you also? How does it work?
Yes, let me take a rider on that. That foundation is there. The rider is the fact that yes, for reverse, if I'm going to apply it the way it's been said. So yes, you would probably not have the mentor now saying to the mentee that, okay, you are now my mentor, I'm your mentee and all that. It won't probably happen that way. But of course, both of them are clear about the fact that I am also learning from you as a mentor. Oh, this is the experience you've done it this way. This is better than what I thought and all that. And I'm also learning. So that is what usually happens in that wise. As against now, roles change. Roles don't necessarily change, but values are being exchanged. My mentor is my mentor. My mentee is my mentee. But then I'm learning from my mentee. My mentor is also learning from me. It might be a specific aspect of life. The experience my mentor has gained over the years and is still gaining and is deepening remains, except if the mentor has completely stagnated himself. He's not growing again. He's not increasing knowledge-wise, value-wise. If he's depreciating, and maybe at some point he's trying to pick up again, and he realized that, in quotes, that the mentee has overtaken him, yes, he can sign up and say, I want to be your mentee. But you rarely find that happening if it's, if it's really people who have value. So yes, it's more about specific areas. So, I have my own senior pastors, for example, who I look up to, who now say, oh, you guys who are younger, you are good in social media and the use of social media, you are good in, so specifically, yes, I can share knowledge in this area, I can provide this, I can provide that. But to now switch roles and say, Oga, for you to come here and say I should come and teach you on how to use social media, you are now my mentee, I am your mentor, make sure you listen to me. That isn't going to happen. That shouldn't happen. The values remains the values, the mentor remains the mentor. And like I said earlier, of course, if they need to part ways, they should part ways nicely once they've achieved the objective and the goal they want to achieve. But then we said earlier, let me just top it up again to remind that we have said earlier that a younger person can mentor an older person, and so on and so forth. So it's not really, but of course, once the younger is mentoring the older, the roles also don't change. Mark Zuckerberg remains a mentor to those who is mentoring, irrespective of their age. It's not likely to change that they now become his mentor, and then they say, okay, let's switch roles. I'm now your mentor, you are now my mentee. Irrespective of whatever, he is also learning from them. It remains what it is.
Fantastic.
So let me stop. Yes.
We've talked, and you know what? We are supposed to be here for 1 hour. We have already crossed the 1 hour line. But there's a question here that we must touch on before we go, and I don't know who's going to take that. But the question came in. Somebody is asking, at what point does mentorship become toxic? At what point does mentorship become toxic? And how can a mentor or mentee avoid this? At what point I don't know who wants to take on that question.
I think Pastor Flash should go first.
Okay, maybe I should start and then. Okay, so yeah, I think it's based on some of those things we've mentioned earlier. The issue of trust, and I like the way.
Network.
Then, generally speaking, trust is one of many values. Generally speaking, one's values are not aligning. One's values are not aligning. Your value may be of punctuality, for example. Your value may be of somebody who is well detailed.
Awesome. Okay, please take it on from there.
Based on one factor.
Okay. Like I said, there are certain criteria that there are certain things in the criterion that ought to be properly agreed on. We need to like strive on the mutual benefits. What is the need for me? What is the need for you? I gain sharing with you. You gain experience from gaining from my own experience. And of course, there must be an agreement on confidentiality. And you must commit to honesty. And of course, you listen and you learn. You build relationship with that, build partnering and all that. These are like checklists. Once people are going against this checklist, it's a trigger to say, oh, you know what? We agreed there's going to be confidentiality. You don't just give my personal details out to people or throw away on social media that you're my mentee without asking expressly from me. You don't throw away my personal details out there. You do not exactly tell me things that you are not. Once I'm able to find out, I score you down on it. So those are guidelines. Those are things that are there. So you tick. So as you go along, you keep reviewing and checking those things. Once you see that, oh, really, you need to call it. It's supposed to be a professional relationship, which might get to personal, but they are very, very important. Once you are going against it, you score it and you say, okay, you know what? I'm calling it quits. There's no point in it getting that toxic as long as you have the guidelines. There are rules.
So we've done that. That's fantastic. I'm actually laughing because of the question that I saw that came up. Anytime we talk about these things, questions come up that just gets me laughing. Somebody is asking, is it why do African mentors turn mentorship to slavery?
No, I didn't hear that, sir.
He said, why do African mentors turn mentorship to slavery? They always come with those questions sometimes. And I think truly, people don't understand mentorship. And so they begin to work on it. Like you said, it's professional. Yes, it can get personal, but the professional side of it still remains, knowing that, okay, this is professional and we have to get it. But when we get personal, we must also remain on the professional line. That's what I think makes it happen, that some from mentoring and then begin to like kind of live a subservient life with the person who is mentoring them. And I think that is not too good. So as we wrap it up, one final word from each of you, please. I think we are still having internet challenge. So let me ask Ola to go first. A final word from you, sir. Just 30 seconds, 1 minute, just a final word from you. Yeah, can you hear me, sir?
Okay, let me quickly go before the internet disappoints me. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes.
Awesome. Okay, Mr. Jola, let's have you. Maybe you will come back in before we go. A final word from you as we wrap up.
Well, it's a privilege to be on this show and to also talk about mentoring. Mentoring has been a life, and of course, it's something that is a continuum, both for individuals and of course, it's a process that people should consciously take to. As we are being mentored by other people, we should also strive to mentor other people as well. And I believe it to be a better world for all.
Awesome. Thank you very much once again. Thank you for the time. I mean, it's been 1 hour. I really do appreciate this time. And I know that it's been worth the while for everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you, leadership community. It's a fantastic time that we have had. I'm sure that you've learned something, you've taken something home. Somebody is asking, how can I get a copy of the 5-Star Church? Well, I don't deal in books, but what you can do is to Google it. Check on Amazon, you find it there. It's there. Check on Amazon, you find the 5-Star Church there, and it's a good resource material for anyone who is a pastor and you are here. You need to look at that book, The 5-Star Church. It makes a whole lot of difference and it will change a lot of things. And I think even if you're not a pastor, it will change a lot of things for your business. How do you run your business? It's a one-stop place for others, And then, of course, one of the critical points of mentoring other people is that you're passing what experience you have to others. They become legs to your legacy. That's very critical. So please, let's see how we can help others by mentoring others. Provide experience. The experience you have learned, provide it to others. They don't need to go through the same mistakes that you have gone through. Once again, this is your leadership community, and my name is BC Akode. I just want to add value to you. I am sure that you'll be here with me again next Sunday when we take on another matter of leadership, changing our world one person at a time. Thank you once again. I really appreciate you. May I say good evening, good afternoon to those of you who are out here. And I know a couple of times our speakers were talking about Southwest, talking about the Igbo people, that's Southwest of Nigeria. By the way, they are very industrious and very industrial related kind of person. So they've been doing this for a long time. Just to let you know. Thank you once again. Goodbye. I'll see you again next week, Sunday. Look into our space and then we'll be letting you know what's coming ahead. Be blessed. Why?
This phase is not the end of the story. There is more to who you are than today reveals. You are not made for lowly heights, so raise the bar and be better. Explore new frontiers. I am cheering, waiting on the other side. Keep advancing. God has given all you need. There are people following the path you lead. Yeah, 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 oh yeah, yeah. Every day is just a gift to become a better you. Now is where your pages begin. Don't stop it now, don't stop it. Keep moving, don't stop it. Keep moving, don't stop it. Keep moving, don't stop it now. Growth is a guarantee that tomorrow's great. Hope you hear me. Don't you drown in the glory of yesterdays. Only if you can strive to be better, then you have a chance to become the best of you. Yeah, I am cheering, waiting on the other side. Keep advancing. God has given all you need. There are people following the path you lead.